All right, we are back live on this rainy night. Okay, let's go on ahead and get started. We're going to cheat a little bit and use the actual markup in CSS from the previous video in which we were doing font families. Okay, so we were working with font families with CSS. We are now going to work with font sizes. Let's go on ahead and use the same markup that we had from the previous video and change the actual font sizes. All right, let's go on ahead and get this started. All right. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. Let's close this out. Hey, you didn't go into the shot today. Good job. Good job. All right, so let's use the same file. Well, actually, I guess we don't really need to use the same file itself, but let's close. Let's see, we have font family here. I am going to create the actual separate files because I like to keep these things separate just in case you guys might be actually ordering these files somehow. But for the most part, you can probably just combine them as well. So let's create a new file and we're going to call it font size. Font size.html. And let's also, it's a little overkill, but just going to keep them separate. Font size.css. Okay, and what do we got here? We're going to select this entire thing. So I'm taking everything from font family, Control A, Control C, and then I'm going to font size and then pasting it there. Then I'm going to close the font family. Then I'm going to go to font family actual styles, Control A, Control C, and to go to font size and Control V to actually paste that. And of course, if you are on a Mac, I believe it's going to be Command A to select all, Command C to select it, yes, Command C to actually copy it, I'm sorry, and Command V to paste it. So let's go on ahead, close this, and one thing we do need to do is change the actual CSS file from font family to font size. And we should be good to go on that. Let's open this up with Live Server. Right click on the file, open with Live Server, close this one here, and change the title as well from font family to font size, because this way you can keep these separated files and look at it as if you were, if you're taking notes within this actual series, then what you're going to want to do is combine these individual files together so you can use it as a resource and go back and say, oh, how do I change this? How do I change that? Then you can search on your computer font family, font size, or arrays, or functions, or objects. So let's close this and let's go. I'm going to right click on this and split it to the right. Actually, you know what? Let's split it to the bottom. Let's be different. Split it down. Okay, here's our markup on the top, and here are our styles on the actual bottom. We are going to go to the H1, which is right here, and let's change that font size. We're not using, font family is above. Let's do font size, and let's give it a font size of 40 pixels. Look at that. And I don't see a change there. What about now? And now? Nope. Refresh. Nothing. Still nothing. Okay, we got font size. We got font size. Do we have font size CSS? And what happens if I change this to 10? I didn't see any change there either. Let's go to 100. Oh, look at that. We're on font family. Let's go over to the other tab that says font size. And there's our huge font. So let's bring that back down to 40. There we go. So just like that. You want to change the font size of an element, go on ahead and just change it to 40 pixels. Why are we using pixels? Because there are if you want to use pixels, one, it's a number of designers use this particular unit of measure within Photoshop and GIMP. So this way, this just allows you to have really good precision on how things are going to actually look. So that is one unit of measure in which we have the font size of 40. Let's go down now and let's work with the paragraph here. And we're going to give that a font size of, let's go with 200. All right, but 200 of what? So the default size of the browser text is usually 16 pixels. All right, so if I said this is going to be 200% of that, so then that should double that 16. So let's go on ahead and take a look. We're on the paragraph. Let's right click on, oh, actually I used this as the paragraph, but it did affect both. Let's right click on that, inspect it, and let's see what it actually came out to. I see font size 200. Okay. Now let's go to the computed portion, and I don't see it here. Let's open this up a little bit. Sometimes it magically appears, which there it is. So if I click on computed and go to the font size, and there I have 32. Why is it 32? Because the default size, which we did not actually set, but the default size within the browser for pixel size or pixel units is 16, and 200 pretty much doubles that. So if I were to change that to 400% and then go back here and look, now 32 plus 32, 400%, 200 plus 200, you got 64 pixels and a font size. Now, if I go to 100%, that's just basically the same as the default. But if I have an actual overall rule here, let's go up above, because the percentage it's covered by the rule. But actually, you know what? I'll put the rule after. We'll use that for EMs. But so you can actually use your pixels and you can use your percentages here. But now let's go and see another unit of measure for font size. So this would be for the paragraph that has a class of Cybertron. And we're going to do font size 1EM. Now, that's going to be this here. So if I just right click on that, click on expect, and I see the computed amount for that is 16x. 16 pixels. So then what we can do is if I wanted to double that, again, this goes based off of the overall measure. So we don't have an overall measure at the top. Our default right now for font is 16 pixels. But if I wanted to say, you know what, let's go all the way up here and let's set a default for our font size. So I'll go up here, I'll do a universal selector, which will pretty much target everything, and say I want the font size to be set at 20 pixels. Okay, so now if I don't have a rule for those already, all right, now everything's going to be set at 20 pixels. But, so that means 1EM, okay, or M, 1EM is going to be defaulted at 20 pixels. The font size is 20 pixels. So now if I change that EM to 1.5, then that should be 30. So 1.5 EM, and what do we get? Font size 30 for the paragraph that has a class of Cybertron. And here's our rule. There's a paragraph with a class of Cybertron. If I change this to 2M, then that should be 2 times the default overall font size of this universal selector of 20 pixels. So that 2M should then go to 40, which that is what we see here. Okay, so yes, I know this is it's a lot of little intricacies here, but these are those small things where when you're debugging something and you're like, well, why is this font this way? Or why is this image this way? Or why is this like that? You need to be able to go in and say, oh, wait a minute. Let me check the computed amount. Let me check if there's an overall rule. Let me go up into different different CSS pages and say, and try to actually find where the actual computed values are, because that's going to be a big that's going to be a big answer for you when you're trying to pretty much debug why something looks weird, and that's what we're at the end of the day, we're always trying to figure something out. We're problem solving, but we're also trying to debug and find issues with, why something doesn't look like the mockup. Okay. All right. But that is it for today. Looks like the rain has stopped. And where are we at here? 12:38 a.m. Leave a comment or concern. Subscribe to the channel. That definitely helps me and helps our other subscribers as well. And of course, hit the notifications so you don't have to check back and forth as to when a new video and new material is available. You'll actually receive a notification saying, hey, there's a new HTML or CSS or JavaScript or PHP or MySQL. There's a new video available. All right. You've been notified. Jump online, knock it out, and we'll continue. Full stack out.